Picture this. You're walking through a dense, silent forest. No birds, no breeze, just the crunch of dead leaves beneath your feet, and a pair of eyes watching you from the shadows. Is this a horror movie, or is it something far more terrifying? Real life? Today we descend into the grotesque world of Ed Gein, the man whose crimes forever blurred the line between fact and fiction. The name may not be as famous as Leatherface, Norman Bates, or Buffalo Bill, but make no mistake, Ed Gein was the nightmare that birthed them all. Chapter 1. The day Plainfield lost its innocence. November 16, 1957. Plainfield, Wisconsin. A bitter wind swept through the small rural town as the townspeople awoke to disturbing news. Bernice Warden, the local hardware store owner, had vanished. Her store was unlocked. The register was open. Blood streaked the floor and led out the back door. Something terrible had happened. Suspicion quickly turned to a quiet, reclusive local man known for his odd behavior, Ed Gein. He was peculiar, harmless, people thought, mostly kept to himself, until police stepped inside his farmhouse. Chapter 2. The Farmhouse of Horror. Late that night, authorities entered Gein's property. What they found inside was no ordinary crime scene. It was a grotesque gallery of human remains. In a shed, they discovered the body of Bernice Warden, hanging upside down, decapitated, and gutted like an animal. But that was only the beginning. Inside the house, police uncovered a house of horrors, human skulls turned into bowls, chairs upholstered with human skin, a belt made of severed nipples, a lampshade fashioned from a human face, and perhaps most disturbingly, a full woman suit made from stitched-together skin. Chapter 3. A mind drenched in madness. Ed Gein was not a serial killer in the traditional sense. He only confessed to 2 murders. But he was a grave robber and corpse mutilator, visiting cemeteries late at night to dig up freshly buried women. He claimed he wasn't trying to harm anyone. He was simply trying to recreate his mother. Gein had created a woman suit so he could literally become his mother, crawl into her skin, wear her flesh, walk in her body. He said it made him feel close to her again. This was not just crime, this was psychosis. Chapter 4. Mother, the Obsession. To understand Ed Gein, you have to understand Augusta. Augusta Gein was a fanatically religious, domineering woman who believed all women, except herself, were evil. She taught Ed that sex was sinful, women were temptresses, and that the world outside their home was wicked and corrupt. Ed was obsessed with her. He worshipped her, and when she died, something inside him shattered. Her death didn't end their relationship. It intensified it. He sealed off her room untouched, like a shrine, and began his descent into madness. Chapter 5. From Reality to Real. Gein's impact on horror cinema. Ed Gein's crimes became the blueprint for some of the most terrifying characters in cinematic history. Norman Bates in Psycho, 1960. A lonely man with mother issues. Leatherface in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, 1974. A murderer wearing human skin. Buffalo Bill in The Silence of the Lambs, 1991. A killer who skins his victims to become someone else. These weren't just creative horror stories. They were artistic reflections of a real-life nightmare. A nightmare named Ed Gein. Chapter 6. Trial, Fate, and Legacy. Ed Gein was declared legally insane. He was never sentenced to prison, but instead spent the rest of his life in a mental institution. He died in 1984 at the age of 77. His farmhouse, burned to the ground by an unknown arsonist. His gravestone, stolen, vandalized, and eventually removed. And yet his legacy lives on, not in memory, but in fear. He has become a symbol of how truly terrifying the human mind can be when twisted beyond repair. Chapter 7. The Horror of Truth. What makes Gein's story so disturbing isn't the gore or the grave robbing. It's the loneliness, the devotion, the quiet, creeping descent into madness. Because horror movies are easy to turn off. You can walk out of the theater. Turn off the TV. But when horror is real, when it lives in a farmhouse next door, when it wears the face of your neighbor, there is no off switch. Epilogue. What truly haunts us? So here's the question we leave you with. What's scarier? A man in a mask with a chainsaw? Or a soft-spoken farmer who only wanted to be close to his mother and wore other women's faces to do it? Maybe the real monsters aren't the ones in the movies. Maybe the real monsters live in places like Plainfield. Maybe, just maybe, they live closer than we think. That's a wrap for now. Don't forget to follow us and turn on notifications for more stories.